Step 21, going from employee to entrepreneur, is pricing. This is always one of the most heated debates and battles, especially inside of boardrooms and startups. How do we price our stuff? How do we know what we have? How do we add value, but make it competitive, but make it attainable for customers? So a couple different schools of thought when you're going to price your course, price your offer, figure out your avatars and your pricing tiers. So the best thing to do is truly understand first, what are your costs to deliver at every one of those tiers? If you have multi-tiered offers, if you have an entry-level SaaS product, then SaaS plus a course, then SaaS plus a course and coaching hours like we do, there's a lot of different things to consider there. You have to get it down to a factor of one. What does it cost to deliver one unit when all things are involved, your total cost of goods sold to deliver to one customer at each tier? If your SaaS model for one customer, and it's probably going to be the most expensive it will be for one, and then hopefully it scales over time. But if your cost of delivery for just your software platform that you're using to get into your course costs you $300 per customer. A couple different schools of thought. If you're in the retail business, meaning you're a clothing manufacturer, a clothing brand, the factor is usually 7x what it costs to deliver. And I'll tell you why. If you're in the retail business, like I was with my first company, which was a shoe company that we sold, we realized this the hard way. We were way undercharging for what our costs were. We had to think about what our landed cost was per shoe, the shipping components, all of the other components, the packaging, the tags, the cost of goods sold to deliver that. But the one thing you forget about in retail is selling to a middleman and selling to a wholesaler that they need their markup. So if our price of delivery to an end user customer was $150 and it costs us 30, we were 5x. And a lot of times we would get burned where we would try to sell to wholesalers that wanted to mark our shoe up 40% to get to that $150 price point. Long way of saying that you really have to be careful and lean into what does it cost you to deliver that product, that service, that course, that thing to one person at every tier, and understand that. Then it's free reign. If you think you can get a 10x multiplier on that, 20x sometimes, and there's a ton of value there, good for you, great for you. You know, if you try to keep your gross margins up around 80 to 90, 95%, like software and AI platforms are, that's amazing if you can sustain that. But you have to be willing to pay for it. So you have to make sure that it's a perfect blend of what is the market telling you? What would you pay for something like this? What result are you driving? A really good way to do it based on value, the first example was cost. Understanding a cost plus model. It's my cost plus 10%, my cost plus 200%. Doesn't matter. That's a cost plus model. When you're thinking about a value-based model, that is, what's the outcome that people are driving? What's the result and the ROI that people are seeing on our platform? If we charge someone $1 million for our service and they ended up making or netting $1 million net positive as a result of using our platform or service, that's $1 million in found money. So you can subscribe to that and attach your fee to the upside. You can attach your fee as a rev share model. So if you're doing a coaching group and you're saying, hey, I guarantee you, and I'm not saying this, but if you're guaranteeing that if they go through your coaching group and they see a 50% lift or they make $1 million as a directly attributable solution to what you gave to them, then you might be able to charge 10%, 15% commission or finder's fee or a 10% rev share of the profit that they saw. Different money model. So the way that you're pricing has very much to do with two things, your costs and the value that you deliver. The cost model is understand exactly what your costs are per tier, per unit to deliver it to one person. It's $10. You want to charge $100 for that thing? Good on you. That's great margins. It's 90%. You're going to be able to take home 90 of that $100 because it only costs you 10 to deliver. That's awesome if you can scale that. So if your thing costs you $10 to produce and you want to do cost plus 10%, you can scale it up that way. If you want to go value-based and your thing costs $10 to deliver, but it's going to drive $500 worth of value for your potential customer, you talk about, hey, I can charge you $300 or $400 for this, knowing it only costs you 10 to deliver. There's a lot of wiggle room there if you're perceived high value and you're delivering a lot of value to that person, a lot of ROI. So if they only have to spend 10, but that $10 spend made them $100, you might want to share in that revenue and that profit a little bit. So totally depends. For coaches and for consultants, I've seen it go both ways. Coaches, I really like the model of predictable MRR. You have your packages and your tiers. You have it set so that you can graduate from one thing to the next, and keep going up the value chain. For consultants, it might get a little bit hairy where you're just providing hours to them if you don't have a course or you don't have a system that you're selling to them. So two different ways. You have the cost price model and you have the value price model. Make the right choice. You can always change it. You can always intertwine or come up with something creative. I'd love to hear from you of what's working for you and your brand today.